lock him in with the shards. This really, Rabbit's being tossed around. This is not the way a knight is meant to die. Fall on your own sword if you have to. The tier 3 towers are even still up, and VG Gaming are doing this.
There's no way that they can win this game. It's completely over.
Banana's being charged again. Fenrir won't make it in time, but Rabbit, the Orchid, he's dead. Lightning Bolt from Zeus helping it out. And Blink in from FY. What's he got this time? He stole Fisher. He almost kills Banana with it.
So close. They just keep trying to fountain farm them. But Newbie, they know this. You just gotta keep trying, keep dreaming. 19 blood zone charges on this Zeus. And
there will be no white flag on Newbie's door. They are making sure that they will fight to the bitter end.
That they will.
They've still got more games coming up later today. But VG Gaming.
Oh God.
They have. Yeah, that's the dip, man. That's the dip.
Yeah, looking at the graph, it's not pretty. VG Gaming, wow. How they just took control over this game. 8 kills. That's all they got. It's one of these games, man. It's one of these games where VG Gaming, they show what they can do. And why you get so sad in game 1, it's like, I know VG Gaming could do so much more. For all those VG hardcore fans out there who are like, man, VG, they could have been top 6. They could have been a contender. And now you're sitting going, yeah, actually, no. Like, they can show it, but they don't always show it. It's so hot and cold. Yeah, some teams are very polarized in their performances. Like, you have good days, bad days, or just straight up fluctuating.
Have you got that Blink Dagger? Okay, he did. He sold the cloak, Earthshaker. The Blink Dagger Echo Slam, Echo's on cooldown for 14 seconds. That's level 1. So, maybe not as critical. And they jump in. The Orchid, the Sun over on Hal, but remember he's got the Aegis, the Immortal. He gets a Dragon form out. Here. Yeah, he is. But at the same time, he's got his own BKB available. They get the Sun and then Snowball. Ice, Ice, Ice for the saving grace. And they got the BKB out of Rabbit. He's got nothing left really to give. Of course, Hal burned his own, but he's also got an Assault Cuirass. And Rabbit, you're locked in an icy prison.
Yeah. They're just backing out a little bit, but they're still playing aggressive with Super. He knows he can come back immediately.
Okay, he's getting stunned.
He has travels.
And now in comes Fenrir. They're using him as bait. And June, as she's switching down Fenrir with the Nether Strike. There goes your Darkseer. There goes your Lena. And Hal still on the front lines. Rabbit, the shards this time doesn't get the trap, but the Taliki described from FY getting the AoE stun. GG! This game belongs to VG Gaming. They level it up and both get 1-1. The white flag has been hung. The towel has been thrown in before Apollo dies.
Yeah, it's completely done. And VG Gaming, they showed some beautiful team play there. The combinations and just the communication seemed to be perfect for him there.
It was a lot better for VG. Newbie, back to the draft board. How they do it in game number 1. They'll try and do it in the next series later on. For now, though, we'll throw it back to the analyst desk before we kick back into our Group B games.
Take that puck off, dude. All right, we had a bit of a scuffle here in the foyer with our new friends, but here with somewhat of a surprising result, at least from what I can tell, with VG Gaming winning, not just because they didn't look so hot in game 1, but also we talked about the draft where we said it might look really hard for VG Gaming to close this game out. But they come back going strong, and they just push through when they have that chance. They say, listen, if we take it long, yeah, we know, too, we're not going to be able to end it, so we're just going to push in when we can. And Syndrin, welcome back. So, I mean, let's start with you down the line. How did you view that game? VG Gaming, definitely a different side of them than we saw in game 1.
Yeah, this was really, really impressive for me. Like you said, the thing we've been talking a lot about in this tournament with like win condition and pushing the base, they actually didn't need it. This is a good example of, in a way, a pretty hard to execute lineup, just done very, very well. And if you do it this well, you obviously don't need base-breaking heroes because you have top 5 net worth, then you're probably fine. I don't think top 5 net worth has ever lost in Dota, actually. So they just did very well in their ganks. They utilized the Tusk very well, I think, a lot of the time. As Waga pointed out, Zeus got loads of Bloodstone charges, and it just seemed like they had a really good idea in this game about how far they could push their lineup in the fights with, like, disengaging, re-engaging. I think Hal's Queen of Pain as well in this game was exceptionally good at finding angles. It was very nice to see how he... you know, a lot of the time when players use Sonic Wave, it's you get into position, you cast it, but sometimes you would like blink into odd angles and find like more of I don't know what you could call it, like a diagonal Sonic Wave into the fight, where it's very difficult to position yourself for, because that's not the direction you're expecting the Sonic Wave to come from. So that was really nice to see.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at one of those fights that Vici Gaming had that turned out very successful for them. But going forward, I mean, Ben, oh yeah, this one, of course, not too long ago from the end of the game, with the Ice Shards also doing a really nice job.
Yeah, there's a big wall here, and you think it's going to go very well for Vici Gaming, but, you know, they got a mech, and they quickly turn it right back around, and next thing you know, everyone gets annihilated, and by that point, Moo just doesn't really have enough on his Ember Spirit to do a lot with his Sleight of Fist, so he just ends up crumbling with the rest of his team, and Vici Gaming really stepped up here. We were all getting a bit nervous about him, but
I like how they adapted to Newbie's lineup. They expected Newbie to go for a very similar sort of lineup, which they did. A fair amount of early game, fair amount of team fight with the Dragon Knight in the mid to sort of siege towers, and then they responded by just going even more all-in early game and just dominating them early. One of the things that was particularly standing out for me was how poor Ember Spirit was and how he didn't cope well with the Queen of Paint at all. And as well as the Tusk. Like, generally, I think Ember Spirit versus Spirit Breaker is pretty good for Ember Spirit. You can slight dodge the charge, you can use your ultimate, and you can just Searing Chains it in a row. There's 3 methods. But with a Tusk initiating on you, you don't have any of those available to you, and you just get Chain Stud and died. Ember Spirit is very fragile, and he was working on his Manta the whole game, didn't even complete the Yasha, and just had very minimal impact. But I did like Vici's adaptations, like, okay, screw this. They're like, early mid game, we're just going early game.
Yeah, they definitely seized that moment very well. We'll take a look at the end of the game here as we wrap it up, game 2 between Vici and Newbie. And, actually, we're getting a little bit of update from Fnatic versus Complexity, it looks like.
I believe this game is, I guess, in somewhat of a sense irrelevant, where both of these teams have already got their spots decided. So.
Right. Yeah, but Complexity definitely showing a strong showing going through. I mean, looks like they will be continuing this trend going to the bracket stage. We will have the replay from our game come back up here in a little bit between UB versus Vici Gaming. And when I was outside watching the game with some of the other guys, Nahaz is now here getting ready for next week, and he was just saying that he was actually one of the few people that are like, no, I definitely think Vici Gaming can win this. And in the past, Vici Gaming would easily win with this kind of draft, even if most people doubted it. Seems like that pulled through. Tell us a little, do you agree with that? Like, if it was maybe a couple months ago that Vici Gaming would have looked a lot more confident here, maybe they're just returning to something that's more in their comfort zone.
I don't know if this is a comfort zone Vici game. I just think they've played a lot of different things, and the thing that they seem to keep coming back to is that I don't know if this is a weird game in a sense compared to the other stuff they've played, because they haven't really done this like all in early game much this tournament, I feel. Generally, they've had one hard carry on How, and then Super has, as Ben has pointed out on previous occasions, he does very well with the active mids rather than the more farm-centric mids. In this game, he played why can't I remember what hero he played in this game? That's actually Zeus.
Zeus, yes.
Of course, another really, it's a fighting mid, right? You farm a little bit, and then you get really active. As far as whether they're getting back into it, it's hard to say because, the results keep varying from time to time. Like, they seem more hit or miss to me, more than getting back into it. I need to see, this was, I believe, was this the last game of the group, or do they have one more?
I believe this was their last one. Yeah.
So I need to see the best of 3s from them, where you can see the direct progress going on before we can really call them a top contender this time around, which for me is a surprise. I thought they were going to show up big. They've been middle of the pack, I guess, all in all, and maybe slightly above.
Yeah. Dakota, what are your thoughts on Vici Gaming after this game?
Well, congratulations, Ben. Zeus finally gets a win. Woo. I actually think he's 1-6 now. Coddle has yet to get a win. So
that's
maybe
the next
we've
one.
seen so many gyrocopter picks because of the new Immortal.
This is true.
What about Night Stalker? What's his score? Has he won?
I want to say yes.
I want to say yes as well.
I think I casted a game where he did win. But yeah. But Zeus was like the big standout where it's like way up there. He's yet to find success. And as I said before, even with the nice synergetic lineup of him and Bloodseeker, just hasn't found that win yet. But they get it here. And more or less the same thing for Vici Gaming overall. They have a lot of emphasis on their early game. They succeed with their lanes. Hao's able to get a quick Orchid, which forces the Ember to try to go for a Manta, which is not your comfort grab for an Ember. And maybe the second they recognize, oh, he's got an ultimate orb and he's making this kind of commitment, we'll just pounce and take advantage of that, and he really didn't end up getting much more after that. So they took advantage of the newbie weakness and just exposed it.
VG Gaming to me is a little discombobulated, I would say, just because if you watch most of Newbie's games prior, it's pretty similar to what they draft almost every single game, and their playstyle is generally very similar. However, they adapted to it in game number 2 and not in game number 1. If it were a team like EG, let's say, I think they would have already done their homework beforehand. They would have already been prepared for all the picks, and they would have stopped that sort of strategy right in its tracks. And the fact that they dropped the first game, even though it wasn't anything special from Newbie, is very worrisome for me. Although I think it does bode well for Vici in future best of threes.
Okay, so still a little bit hard to tell, but we'll see how things pan out as we go into the main event for these guys. We'll take a look at the standings here because there's some a little bit more interesting stuff. Of course, the last days when all these possibilities come out, a lot of people get excited calculating, all right, what's the probability of each team moving onward? And for Group B, things are still a little bit up in the air.
I hate when it gets to this because then you have a team that's like, well, we're hoping that they draw and they're going to win. If they blow their nose over there, we might be able to etch into that tight 4 spot. Yeah, this is where it really gets mad.
So how many teams have 7 games played? It looks like only Vici?
Yeah, so Vici is done, and we still have quite a few games left. Now, the important thing here is, I believe if MVP Hot 6, yeah, if they win all of their games and a couple other situations happen, like you said, maybe they blow their nose or something like that, Hot 6 still has a chance to contest for that 4th seed in Group B. So even though they only have 1 point, if they get right,
that is super unlikely.
It is very unlikely, right? They have to play. They have to play what Newbie
and Empire. They have to win all 4 games.
Yes.
Hope eHome loses their games. Newbie draws with Vici, which did happen. So
that's good.
And then we'll have 4 teams tied at 7 for tiebreakers. So they still would have to battle through a tiebreaker.
So it's still possible.
It's
so
out
you're
there.
saying
There